All right, so now I'm going to talk about taking our power back, and different ways to take your power back, and different ways to embody a much more powerful version of yourself. And this is going to maybe be a little bit down a level from the last video that I just made, but it's okay. It'll probably make a lot more sense for a lot more people. But ways to take your power back. So what your power is your manifestation power. It's your security and your you-ness, right? So you lose your power by giving your power to other people. You cannot lose your power without your free will being a part of it. So you have to, by your own free will, give your power to another person or another thing in order to lose it. And this society is it's gotten very good at convincing most of the society to give their power up in order to give it to the top people of the society. And this is literally the epitome of how negative polarization works, is that you convince other people to, by their free will, give up their power to you so that you feel more powerful. But now it's time for us to take our power back by realizing what we are and who we are. So that's the first way, is to realize that you are the entirety of your whole experience. And what that means is that you are literally just as powerful as any other person on this planet or any other being in this universe, because you literally are an incarnation of the divine source or God consciousness. And what that means is that you are an infinitely expanding mind, which means that you can literally have infinite amounts of power by just realizing and believing that you have infinite amounts of power. That's literally how it works. And because our beliefs literally do create our reality. And so the first way that I would say to take your power back is to start changing your belief systems, and start to change your belief systems into, start to embody a sense of understanding and belief that this world is manufactured and made for you, and it's an experience for you to be able to experience yourself. And the only reason that you've been experiencing maybe a negative state of being is because you wanted to experience that for yourself. But now that you've learned the lessons of how it feels to be a negative being, and you've learned the lessons of how it feels to feel bad, then you can actually change your belief systems back to believing that you are an infinitely powerful being, and that you're beautiful and amazing and wonderful, and that you may have made mistakes in previous lifetimes, but that doesn't mean that you have to carry those mistakes over into this one. You see what I mean? Like, you don't have, your past is not real. This is the second way, is that you realize that your past isn't real. And your past is just something that's made up by you. It's something that's being manufactured by you in that moment. And it's literally not real. So like, a way that you can prove this to yourself is that you can actually go back into your past, and you think about a memory with both you and another person, and you get both of you to recall the exact same memory. And then you realize that both people will recall a completely different thing than each other. So that means that who is right? And you can't just say it's you who's right because you think that you remember it a specific way. How do you know that you're right? How do you know that that's true in the first place? You don't. You just believe it. You see what I'm saying? You created that memory in that moment, and then you've projected it into your past, and then you just believe that that's what it is. But in reality, you could just be literally, you could be just projecting yourself right here, right now, all the time, and then just like feeding yourself a story of the past so that you can have a linear timeline of experience, and so that you can not accidentally just like poof out of this existence and go into some other state of existence. Because it's not like you would just disappear and just like turn into nothing. You would just turn into infinite consciousness again, and then go into another dream. If that makes any sense. It would be called like waking up from the dream. And you really wouldn't leave unless you wanted to, because once you wake up from the dream, then you just become what they call enlightened. And when that happens, you literally just understand that it's all a dream, and that you can become a lucid dreamer inside of the dream. And that's how the enlightened people end up having all these cities or powers or whatever, is because they became a lucid dreamer in the dream of reality. So that's the second way to do that. The next one is to how to take your power back. How to take your power back. Okay, so another thing is to change your food. Change the food that you eat. This is a very, very powerful way to to take your power back. And what you do is you start to eat karma-free foods, and you start to eat foods that are literal alive. They're alive, and they have this consciousness in them. And all of these foods, they have different lessons and different things inside of them. So as you eat them and there's these, like, the Native American people who kind of go on these things called diets, and I know that sounds weird, but it's like basically like they'll eat only a specific food for like months at a time, and then they do it in order to be able to learn the lessons of that food. And if you think about it, like if you've ever tried like psychedelic mushrooms or something like that, then you can see that foods have consciousness to them, and those are a good way of like seeing it, you know, like really, really powerfully. But you have to understand also that all other live foods like that also have consciousness to them. And even the manufactured foods from humans have consciousness to them. It's just that they have very, very low consciousness because they've been basically they have the same consciousness as the humans that manufactured them, and that's very low because they've the humans that manufactured them, the energy that they put into it was to try to addict the people and to lower the consciousness of the people that eat the food. So therefore that energy of them wanting to do that is given to you, and then you take that energy on when you eat that food, and then therefore you get a lowered consciousness because like you've been duped by the society and everything. So next, you know, like the third thing is to change your diet. Start eating some, you know, live foods. Start eating some fruits and vegetables, and you know, just really start to work on your diet and see the difference that it makes. It makes a huge difference. Okay, another way to take your power back is to stop caring about what other people think about you. And the easiest way to do this is to realize that everybody is a projection of you anyways. So as long as you're not uncomfortable with your own self, then you cannot be uncomfortable with anybody. You see what I mean? So like once you realize that this is all your experience and that you're projecting everything that's here, then there's no fear left because it's all you anyways. So as soon as you see that as being you, and then you love that aspect, then it loves you back, and then therefore it doesn't cause you any more pain like that. You see, it's literally, it's that easy. Like it's really it's not a big thing. It's a change in perspective to understand that as you change your beliefs into seeing everything through the eyes of love, then everything starts to reflect the eyes of love outside in your reality as well. And that's pretty important, honestly, because it shows how love is the main kind of like factor of why we're even doing any of this stuff. And it's like literally to learn how to love again. And the way to love is literally to see another person as yourself. Like that is what the definition of love is, to literally like is to see all as one. And when you see all as one, then the only thing left to do is love everything, because even people who are service to self, the reason why they do any of the stuff that they do in service to themselves is because they're trying to love themselves by giving them whatever they want, even though they don't really. Okay, this is another one to take your power back, is to realize that as you give up more, the more that you give up, the more that you get back in return. So as you give up your physical kind of like the things that you cling on to, and your mental clinging, meaning like as you like let go of your need to think negative thoughts, and your addictions to negative thoughts, and your addictions to negative thinking, and your addictions to judgment, and your addictions to projection, all this stuff, as you give up every one of these different things, then what you get back is love. You get back ecstasy, you get back happiness, you get back joy, you get back compassion, you get back forgiveness, you know, you get back all these different things that are much, like, I'm not gonna say better or worse, because people really like to enjoy you know, being in hatred and being in sadness and loathing and all that kind of crap. But for me, I really enjoy being happy, and I enjoy having a sense of self-confidence and self-worth, and I enjoy having this energy to me that is really attractive to people. And I enjoy being a loving human being and having very pure intentions, and having it to where other people can feel those pure intentions, and they can tell that you're not trying to exploit or manipulate them, because you know that there's nothing that you need to get from them. Literally, there's nothing that you need to get from anybody, because you have it all already, because you literally are infinite consciousness. So all you have to do is just think it up, and then you have it. You see what I mean? Like that's how manifestation works too. Like you realize that you're manifesting your reality, and then you start to change your thoughts and belief systems, and then your reality starts to reflect that. It's pretty simple, honestly. It's just that it's about changing all of these programming and patterns that you've been taught. And also realizing, this is another way to take your power back, is to realize that everything that you've been taught is a lie. And like, it's all paradoxical, and it's all backwards. All right. So like all the things that these people have told you throughout your life at school and all this stuff, like all of it, you have to prove it for yourself. Basically, that's what I mean, is that, and I'm not going to say that everything is a lie or whatever, but like you literally, really think into it and think deeply into it, and then try to figure out what's truth and what's not. And you'll realize that a lot of the stuff that you believe is stuff that other people have told you is what you should believe, but you've never done any empirical research, or you have no evidence of what that actually is, if that's true or not. You just have caught that belief system, and then that then is reflected in your reality. So all you experience is what you believe, but you've never tried to change your belief systems radically and then experience that change in your reality. You see what I mean? And the change first happens internally. So the first thing that you experience is not a change in your environment, or a change in your people, or you don't see other people start to act differently, and you start to talk and act differently to yourself. And then you experience the love that comes from that, because when you start to talk and act differently with yourself, then you start to love yourself in a different way. And then when you start to love yourself in a different way, then you don't sit in negative connotations and feelings and things like that, and therefore you don't end up being around those types of people. And even if you do, then they can't stay around you for very long, because you're too different in your vibrational frequency. Why? Because you've literally realized that it's pointless to sit in negativity, because all it's doing is it's projecting your own self onto another self. You see what I mean? It's like it's pointless to have any negative thoughts at all, because literally it's all it's doing is just hindering your growth. And as soon as you see things as being love-based, and you start seeing things positively, then things start to reflect that in your reality. And then you realize that the negative thinking was literal just an addiction. That's all. Like, it was just an addiction to projecting your fantasies of the mind onto your external reality, and then trying to say, oh my gosh, reality is so terrible because, it's like this, even though you literally built it to be like that. So it's pretty interesting. That's another way to take your power back. Another way that you could do it is to maybe start grounding yourself and going out in nature and earthing, and start doing some self-inquiry, start doing some really deep thought and meditation on, why we're even here in the first place. Like, what's the point of any of this? Why, what are we trying to do here? And you start to realize, you've been caught up in a storyline. So realize that too, that you've been caught up in a storyline, all right? And that you can actually start to make the story different by changing what you believe that the story is about in the first place. So instead of just getting caught up in the story that everybody else is caught up in about mundane society and the 9-to-5 job and the get up and go to work and go home and the slave labor, basically, you start to change your reality, and you change your mind, and you start to realize, I can make every single experience that I have a positive experience, because every single experience that I have is based on the way that I look at it and the way that I feel about it. So then I start to experience this stuff at work, and then work ends up actually feeling positive instead of it feeling negative. And then you don't get drained after anything, so you end up going through the whole day and then feeling more energy at the end of the day than you did at the beginning. Hello, how are you?
Good.
Nice. Anyways, so basically the whole thing is about taking the power back, and then that's another example right there, is to realize that people aren't out to get you, that nobody's here to hurt you or to make fun of you, any of that stuff. All of that is projection from you. If you hold a vibration of happiness and joy and love, then you experience that externally in your reality. And as soon as you start projecting fear, then other people are going to reflect fear to you. But if you just keep your confidence in yourself, and you understand that you're whole and complete in yourself, that nothing can bother you, literally. You won't get messed up by other people or their thoughts or their feelings or anything like that. And it's another way that you could take your power back. You could take your power back by maybe disconnecting from sources of media and news, and maybe social media. Maybe not so much social media. Also realize that the 5 to 10 people that you stay around the most are going to end up being the consciousness that you take on. So if you're listening constantly to other people talking, then you literally will have 95% of you will not even be you, and you'll only have a very small amount of you left. And then it'll be much harder for you to be able to even figure out who you are, or what you are in the first place. And that's kind of a trick in it's like a trick of society in a way, because everybody's now kind of being pushed into social media, and always listening to another person, and always trying to gain information from external sources. But once you disconnect from the external sources of information, then you start to get actual true information that starts to flow through you. And you realize that, oh my gosh, I'm starting to think thoughts that I've literally never heard from anybody before, and they make more sense than anything I've ever felt in my entire life. And if I could just communicate this to somebody, it would literally change the whole world, because these thoughts are so profoundly different. And the only reason that you're experiencing them is because of the fact that you've disconnected yourself from other people's sources of thought, and you've now reached into this new source of thought that is actually reflective of your state of consciousness as a creator God. You see what I mean? And then you realize, like, oh, as I'm creating this entire thing, I can actually gain the consciousness of the creator and start to access and tap into what's called intelligent infinity. And then through intelligent infinity, you can then tap in also to intelligent energy as well. And then through intelligent energy, you can tap into different kinds of information fields and things like this that will then allow you to change your experience quicker and change your experience in a more positive way. And this doesn't mean that you're gonna immediately manifest a brand new world in front of you in the blink of an eye. What it means that you manifest, or what it means is that you manifest a brand new world inside of yourself. And then as you have that new world inside of yourself, you then you basically bring it down to earth. So like that's what they mean by like ascending the chakras and then going back down in the chakras. So like you ascend all the way up into the crown, and then you shoot out of the crown, and then you have this new information. But then you have to go from up here, and then you have to bring it back down and integrate it back into this world in order to experience it in this reality. So that's the kind of like that's why they say like it's amazing for somebody to become enlightened and go and live in a cave for the rest of their life. But it's even more amazing whenever they come back and integrate back into society and start teaching other people about it, because it's a different type of love. You know what I mean? It's the love for everything and everyone, because you realize that if one of us can't go, then we all can't go. And we're all connected and we're all one. So until we all can go, we're all going to have to keep coming back. You see what I mean? And we may not have to come back in negative ways. Now it's starting to shift to where maybe we can come back in more positive ways, you know, but you're still having to come back. And we're trying to get to a space where we can sit in bliss consciousness all the time. And that's coming now into the world. But that's a different story and a different topic. Taking your power back is just as easy as redirecting your attention. That's another thing. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. So realize where your attention streams are going, and realize where you're thinking, what you're thinking about all the time, and understand that you have all these different kinds of like thought streams that are flowing out from you. And like imagine that it's like like you have a river of energy flowing through you that's going up, and that basically, okay, say you have thoughts about survival. You then have a giant pipeline going off from right here. So the energy is going to come up to here, and then it's going to flow off there, and then only a little bit's going to trickle up to here, right? And then you have lusty thoughts, and then you know there's a boom, another pipeline that goes off. And then you have thoughts of not being good enough. Boom, there's another pipeline that goes off. Or you have thoughts that, oh, I'm not lovable. Boom, there's another pipeline that goes off. Or I can't communicate my truth because I don't know how to speak or something like that. Boom, there's another pipeline that goes off. Or I'm not worthy of having these abilities in consciousness. Boom, there's another pipeline that goes off. And then, like, you see what I mean? Like, they're all connected with the chakras as well. But those things. And then you have a river that's coming up like this, and then there you have so many different streams of energy going off that it can't even go up past a specific point. And then when the energy gets stuck up in the bottom areas, then you start to experience depression or anxiety or sadness, or a sense of loss of willpower, or a sense of loss of love, and all this different stuff. And it's reflected as the energy is not able to pull up and go through you. But if you were to take all of those streams and you were to block them all off, not block them, that's the wrong word, but you were to take them back, meaning like you disconnect the stream of energy, and you disconnect that, then it would be able to go up to here. And then you disconnect that lusty thought, and then it moves up to here. And then you disconnect that feeling of self-worth problems, and then that goes up to here. And then you feel literal bliss and happiness, because now you have enough energy that's able to sustain inside of your heart. And then so therefore you can activate that center and sit in that consciousness. And then when you make it all the way up the stairs, all the way, not the stairs, but the stream or the river, and you make it all the way up, then you then reach the ocean. And the ocean is the infinite consciousness, and that's what connects everything. You see what I mean? And then as you hit that that ocean or that infinite consciousness, then you start to take the energy from there instead of taking it from the river. And then you have an infinite source of energy to go through, and you can then kind of direct where and what you want to put your kind of streams of thought into. And then those thoughts will have much, much more power because they'll have the entire ocean behind it instead of just a tiny little river. And there's other people over here. And so I think this time I've already gone for like 20 minutes or more. So there's really not too terribly much more that I want to say about this at the moment. But I will definitely make more videos about this though. So taking your power back. Let me think of one more thing. Last thing is stop taking things so seriously. Like seriously, like stop. None of this is personal. None of this is serious. All of this is literally just a big joke. It's just a big game. Just don't take things seriously, and then it'll make things much, much easier for you. No matter what it is, just don't take it seriously. Don't take it personally, and that makes it much easier for you. So have a good day, everybody.